What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's right, I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm living life right now, man. And this is what I'ma do till it's over. Till it's over. But it's far from over. Alright.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's just Jay from Crohnsboy.com. Just doing a little follow-up post to my last post, IBDs and joint pains. Got a lot of responses. People asking questions, sort of pretty much what they can do to alleviate this pain or help with this pain. So I'm just going to go over some things that I've done that helped me along the way, and hopefully they help you guys out. You know, and just to start out, anybody that's suffering from joint pains, they tend to be very common with IBDs, and especially because we have issues with malabsorption. So as you're healing, you'll notice that as your body heals, these pains, whether it be joint pains, back pains, will reduce as you heal. To the point eventually when you fully heal, you'll probably suffer from barely any pain. And I know this personally from my experience. I suffered from very excessive lower back pain, and my knee pain was brutal, to the point when I could barely stand for a few minutes without having to sit down because the pain was just, I don't know, too overwhelming. But to a point right now when I don't suffer from any joint pain at all. So believe me, I know what it's like to be on both sides of the spectrum, so please take that into account when you're listening to my information that I'm providing you guys with, you know. So one of the biggest things that I did to reduce my joint pain was I cut my animal protein intake, and yes, this means cutting the meat that I was eating. And for anybody doing a lot of the IBD protocols that tend to be, I don't know, high protein, low complex carb, green vegetables, fruits, things like that, a lot of people tend to overdo the animal protein. Consume lots of meat, and I was doing the same thing. I was probably consuming about 2 to 4 eggs a day, you know, a few chicken breasts per meal, thighs, lots of pork, anything you name it. I was overdoing the meat. Let's just keep it as simple as that. So I dramatically reduced that. So I would have like 1/3 the portion that I used to have, and then I would have more steamed vegetables and leafy greens if you could tolerate them. I was unable to tolerate them in the beginning, so if anybody else can tolerate them, I would put those in there, try to increase that, and you'll notice a lot of benefit. And for the STD legal yogurt, that was one thing that I didn't reduce a lot. I continued to consume 1 to 2 cups because I was definitely an advocate and I believed in the probiotic benefit of the legal STD yogurt. I don't consume that anymore, but at the time it was a huge help for me. So I would continue to do that, and I wouldn't try to change that too much unless you're having 4 cups a day or something like that. Might be a little bit too much. That's your own call. Just giving you my opinion. And just to explain how, when I did this, I noticed a huge difference after a week of doing it, a week or 2 weeks of doing it. I noticed a reduction in joint pain. But just to explain a little bit of the science behind this, and from what I've read and speaking to people, when you consume animal proteins, especially excess amounts of animal protein is it makes your body and your GI tract very acidic. And during that process, it creates a lot of phosphorus. And in order for your body to sort of neutralize this, it uses calcium to neutralize this. And for anybody that's heard of Tums to neutralize stomach acid and things like that, the calcium in Tums tends to do that. I'm not saying go use milk or that kind of calcium to do that. But what I'm saying is the calcium that you get from some of this animal protein, it requires other nutrients to be absorbed. You know, and so it's not very efficient. So what happens is people with IBDs, we tend to have issues. Since we have issues with malabsorption, we usually have low calcium levels in our body. So when you're ingesting these meats and these other proteins, what happens is since there's not a lot of calcium available to sort of neutralize, like I said, the acidity issue, it leaches the calcium from your bones. So that might leave little holes that could result in, like, whether it be joint pains or an osteoporosis or osteoarthritis, that sort of thing. I got this information from listening to, like, Charlotte Gerson from the Gerson Institute and some other professionals talking about this, and I feel very confident like this. A lot of people that eat, whether it be people eat raw food or people from other areas in the world that don't consume a lot of animal proteins, they don't have a lot of issues with joint pain. You know, So give that a shot, see if it makes a difference in what you're doing. Another thing that made a huge difference for me was I started to take higher doses of vitamin D. And I was taking anywhere from 6 to 10,000 IUs a day. You know, and I started doing this after reading that book, pretty much, The Vitamin D Cure. So for anybody that has more questions, see the post that I did, the Vitamin D Cure. I'll refer back to that in the blog post that's linked with this. You can look below and you can click on that and we'll give you a link directly to the Vitamin D Cure. I did this, it made a huge difference in energy, in mood, and in my joint pain. So if you choose to give that a shot, that's your own decision. You know, another thing that I did is I started taking Knox gelatin powder. I started taking 1 pack of this a day. And for anybody that's on SCD, you probably remember Knox gelatin because you use that to make your Jello. And for people that are old enough, they remember that women used to use Knox gelatin to make their nails strong. Knox gelatin contains pretty much it's animal cartilage that makes your nails strong. And I read this on a site that talked about people with arthritis that use this, especially people with osteoarthritis. They would ingest this in juice or whatever, which is the same way that I did it. They would ingest it. And what happens is the cartilage actually goes back into the bones. So it's actually replenished these little holes. So I said, hey, what the heck, I'd give it a shot. I did it for 30 days. And I noticed, again, a dramatic decrease in joint pain. You know, so again, this is something that I'll link to this blog if you care to check it out. Give it a shot. But I've also referred this protocol to friends and family, and I've heard nothing but good results for people who are trying this for 30 days, putting 1 pack a day in some juice and drinking it. You know, you're doing it in your gelatin. It's SCD legal. You know, it's not going to hurt to try putting that in some juice and drinking 1 pack a day. So give that a shot. Another thing that helped me a lot too was walking and stretching. You know, so if you can walk and stretch, that will make a huge difference. I try to tell anybody to try to avoid impact sports and running on a treadmill, because anything that your joint is just like pretty much just pounding against the pavement or pounding against, you know, a treadmill or the gym floor. Right now, while you're healing, it's something that I try to avoid, because I remember when I used to run on a treadmill, I used to literally the next day I could barely walk, and it was just a brutal feeling to experience. So if you can try to avoid that as much as possible and try to do things more like walking on a treadmill, or especially for people that have used to an elliptical, I would try using an elliptical. It's a lot easier on the bones and the joints, and it's fun. Makes you sweat. It works good. A sauna. The sauna made a huge difference. I go to the YMCA. And I used to go to a steam sauna. I would stretch in there for about 10 minutes, relax, stretch my bones, you know. I wasn't embarrassed to do it. I don't care if people are looking at me. Do what you're going to do. That also made a huge difference. So I would, if they have access to a wet sauna or a dry sauna, even if you're in the shower, give it a shout. If you have a big enough shower and you want to try it. But I don't want any accidents on my hands in the shower, so I'd try to do that in the sauna if possible. You know. So hopefully this information will help you guys. Give it a shot. Let me know how it works. Drop me a line. That's the only way that I'm going to know on larger levels if things work. I'm not a doctor. You know, I can only share the stuff that I've done through that's made a difference for me. And I use critical thought in my research. And, you know, then based on that information, I try it myself. And if it works, I sort of spread the word, pay it forward, say, here's what worked for me. If it works for you, great. You know, more trial and error, cause and effect, you know. That's sort of how I use things, and and then I sort of implement that in health modeling. I look for other people that have used certain protocols to help with issues, and I try it. If it works for me, great. That's what I do. So hopefully this helps you guys, and I tried to keep this short, but it was a little longer than I expected, but hopefully the information helps you. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's right, I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm living life right now, man. And this is what I'ma do till it's over. Till it's over. But it's far from over.